All right. So this is going to be a long video, and if you don't actually sit down and watch what I'm trying to say, then you're not going to be able to understand the full extent of what I'm going to be teaching you in this video. So you're watching this video because you want to win 2024. You want to reach that fitness goal. You want to get those girls. You want to get those likes. You want these people to look at you and be like, "Damn." So I compromised this slideshow into three separate kind of parts that I think genuinely they're going to be things that are going to be life changing. It's not going to be a specific exercise. It's not going to be a specific food that it's going to be in your diet. Rather, it's going to be stuff that you're probably genuinely missing that is going to improve, drastically improve the progress that you make. And then also the ability to actually stick with it, because they'll see some people who they'll lose a good amount of weight, but they're not going to keep it off. They eventually go back to their old habits because anybody can get it. The hardest part is actually keeping it. So first of all, I think it's I think it's noteworthy that I should talk about how I used to look. I used to be morbidly obese. If you haven't seen the previous videos, I've been somebody who has always struggled with keeping off weight. I used to be an iPad kid. I used to binge eat because I was severely depressed. I was really mad at the situation that I was in my life as a teenager. Here, I wanted to show you guys a picture of how I used to look. So, this was at the beginning of January of 2022. If you guys can see it, if it'll focus. That's how I used to look. If you can see it. I was morbidly obese. I was 220 pounds at 15 years old. In the worst mindset, always getting like the worst sleep, eating garbage, eating probably like over 200 plus grams of sugar every single day. I think I talked about it. I used to buy boxes of Debbie cakes and just eat them. That was my meal. I would sit down with my iPad, prop it up, and eat my box of Debbie cakes because I loved them. Eventually, I started going to YouTube because when I broke up with my girlfriend, I think right now is a good time to really start to implement these things to try and lose weight. I started going to YouTube, watching these videos. You know, you go in that process of you watching these videos from these high viewed videos, high viewed content creators, and then you try to implement them. But then at the same time, you're trying to find more stuff because you feel like what you're doing is wrong, and because you've only been really working out a few days, but you feel like, oh, well, I mean, I'm not seeing this because you're watching too much conflicted information that is stopping you from actually reaching your goals. Instead of continuously watching these videos about oh the perfect way to actually incorporate a diet. Listen, if you watch this channel, essentially I have given you a lot of the stuff for your diet. I'm still currently making videos about working out. But when it comes to diet, I've already set a lot of the stuff on the table of what you should be eating and drinking. The problem is not that you don't know what to do. The problem is that you don't believe you know what to do. So I compromise I this lecture it compromises of three different things. The first one is going to be discipline. Think of discipline as a muscle. Discipline is something that realistically you're going to start off with at zero, and each step that you make is going to be building up this muscle. So discipline is literally just doing the hard work when you don't feel like it. Discipline is doing these things even though realistically you want to do something else. So think of this as like you have a workout and you have a workout that you know you have to do. And but realistically you just want to go sit down and watch like a YouTube video. But if you go do that workout even though you don't feel like it, instead you'd rather just go watch a YouTube video. That's discipline. that idea that you're actually spending your time on this is discipline. If you're like recently just starting like with fitness, then you're probably at like level 0 in terms of your discipline. A lot of the times you do what's more in line with what you want to do rather than things that you know you should do. So the question is, how do we build discipline? Discipline is something that is, like I said, it's built like a muscle. It's something that you have to slowly work over time. When it comes to fitness, if you don't have the discipline to go do your workouts, if you don't have the discipline to eat this food instead of that food, then realistically, you're not going to get that far. This is a hard truth for me because, like I said, I was somebody who used to be an iPad kid, and I used to spend a lot of my time just literally sitting down watching videos. And even when I got to watching educational videos, all I did was just sit down and watch it instead of saying, okay, I'm actually going to go do the workout. Because it feels so good just watching these videos and feeling like you learned something from them rather than actually going out and try to use it yourself. Because whenever you actually go outside to use it yourself, you're just going to feel it's much more difficult because it's difficult. I mean, listen, I tell you, like, oh, you eat this food, that food, this food, that food. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna go out and it's gonna be easy. Realistically, I made a video, like for instance, I made a video talking about like essentially the perfect diet for losing weight and then also building muscle. But if you try to go actually use that diet, you're gonna find that there's a lot of adversities and there's a lot of problems where you just feel like, oh, I really don't want to do this. Discipline, let's say you're watching that diet video that I made a few days ago. Discipline is essentially doing it anyways, even though you don't want to. Let's say you pick the things that I've said in that video and you actually like make a diet out of it. And of course your diet's going to change when you're first starting. Of course that's natural. But you have to stay disciplined and actually make the actionable step to, instead of eating, like for instance, like let's say I don't know, let's say you you're like me and you ate like a whole box of Debbie cakes. Instead of one of those Debbie cakes, eat something else instead. And you may be thinking, oh, well, but Sam, that sounds autistic. I mean, like, you're still eating like the whole box of Debbie cakes. This is discipline. You're actively telling yourself, okay, instead of eating that one Debbie cake out of the 5 Debbie cakes, I will take away one, so I'm only going to eat 4. And then I'm going to eat an apple instead. I'm going to eat a fruit. Eventually, you're going to notice that eventually over time, you're going to be, and of course, it's going to be hard at first, but eventually over time, you're going to eventually stop eating Debbie cakes. And then you're going to stop eating these chips and these like fried foods from like slowly replacing it. It's a muscle that you have to work on over time. Stop, don't make this mistake that a lot of people make where they will put everything on the table at once. They will like make a perfect diet. They will make a, make like a massive workout plan that they're going to follow because realistically you're at level 0. If you try to go do a level 10 task that is something like following a diet and working out, then you're not going to stay there because you are level 0. You don't have enough XP to be able to even do that. So using discipline is going to be the thing that's actually going to skyrocket how much progress you're going to be making in the gym and just in general your fitness, because when it comes to discipline, you are actively working, doing stuff that you don't want to do because you know it's better for you. Not only is this going to be good for obviously your body, but it's going to be good for your mentality in general to actually do the hard work even though you don't feel like it. You're going to be building a stronger mind, or as David Goggins says, you're going to be building calluses in your mind that tell you that like on the days that you really don't feel like doing something, you're still going to go out there and go do it. I don't feel like working out a lot of the times, to be honest with you. There's times like, for instance, yesterday I really did not feel like going on a run, but I still went. Not because not because not because of I just like I really love running, because of course I love working out, I love running, but I will admit that there's some days that I'd rather do stuff instead. I'm not immune to this just because I've been working out for around 2 years. there there's something that you have to work on internally, is that you need to work on your discipline. You need to be able to actually do the stuff when you don't feel like it. You have to stop looking at it like, oh, your life is supposed to be enjoyment. If you seriously want to make progress this year, if you seriously want to actually look good and feel better about yourself, you're not going to do everything that you want to do. Period. Stop having that idea that you're going to be doing all this stuff and you're going to have fun with it. There's going to be a lot of times where it's pain. Stop believing these fitness influencers that tell you like all this stuff, because secretly they're probably living the same life. They don't enjoy doing all these things all the time. You're not doing it for you're not doing it for self-satisfaction. You're doing it for a greater goal that you have in mind, a lifelong goal that you have in mind, to look better, to feel better. So discipline is something that you have to have. It's a muscle. And like I said, it's something that you're going to be working on slowly over time. It takes time. Making daily contributions is going to be something that's going to really increase how much progress you're actually making. So now we talk about discipline. We're going to talk about faith. And I actually put a picture on here because I want you guys to think about this. So, what is faith? Whenever you think of faith, you probably think of something like religion. You think of something like you're putting trust into somebody. So, faith, in really simplified terms, is the ability to trust in the knowledge of others and yourself. So, let's imagine it like this. In this picture right here, let's imagine that you're in underwater. I guess it'd be like a scuba diver. Not necessarily a scuba diver, but you're going underwater. Yeah, I mean, it is scuba diving basically. And let's imagine there's people on the boat and they have oxygen, and they have a little oxygen tube that connects to you and directly gives you oxygen. And let's say you have to rely on them pumping the oxygen tank. You're going to go down there, you're going to do whatever you need to do, and you're actively putting faith into the people who are above you, because you're trusting that they're going to keep pumping oxygen so that you can breathe. This is essentially faith. And you may be thinking, well, how is this really like correlate when it comes to fitness? If you don't have faith in the things that you already know, because if you're watching this, you're probably somebody who has already watched those big videos on like the diet. You're probably somebody who's already watched the videos on diet and the type of workouts that you want to do. And so realistically, you probably already have the knowledge that you seriously need to make those goals. The problem is you don't have faith that what you know is the right information. So to bring this to life, I used to always, like I said, I used to always watch these videos talking about, oh, like like the perfect way to do this, that, oh, don't, you're missing this, that, this, that. It wasn't a problem of I knew what to do, because I already watched videos on what I need to do and what my diet's supposed to look like. I already knew what exercises are really going to be more effective than others. And if you're watching this, then that means you've probably been scrolling and you've probably actually been in the same situation as me. You've probably already know what you're going to do. It's just a matter of not it's just a matter of not believing in yourself that you know this is going to work. So, if you're watching this, then you need to actually put faith in what you're doing. You have to put faith that this program is going to work for you to, like, the thing that actually made my growth compound was not the idea of watching is not the idea of like constantly watching these videos and, oh, all of a sudden I found that one perfect thing. It's the faith that I trust what I've already learned, and I actually put it to use. I trust the information of these people who have what I don't. And then that's when I started to see the progress. I started to actually listen to people, like listen to only like 1 to 2 people about where I wanted to go. And because of that, I actually saw like monumentum, like progress, because it actually started to compound. Because instead of me constantly switching up my programs, trying to switch up my diet, like just doing like 360s over and over again, instead I just put my faith that this way is going to work. Ultimately, there's going to be more than one way to build a lot of muscle. There's going to be more than one way to lose weight. But you're going to focus your energy on one general program and one general diet, and you're going to spend time on this. You're going to spend months, maybe even years on this, And then you're gonna see that instead of those times that you just like spend all your time trying to find the perfect way to actually lose weight and do all these things, you're actually gonna make progress from simply just doing like what you've already know. Listening to the advice of these like really successful people who have essentially reached the goal that you want of looking better. Once you put your faith in this and say, I'm going to put my faith that this workout plan that I learned from, for instance, from me, Sam, I'm going to trust that this workout plan from Sam is going to work, and I'm going to spend my time working on this. I'm not going to constantly keep changing it, making like a few changes here and there for personalization. That makes sense, obviously, but don't change it to the point where it's just like you're doing something different every week. You're going to spend time. It takes time. You have to be patient. The results are not going to show up in a week or even 2 weeks or even a month. It takes time. This is something that it's probably kind of be kind of hard for you to understand because people are always like, "Oh, do this to lose weight quickly," or "Do this to." Well, I apologize. My brother just walked into the room and just like started telling me this crazy story. But essentially, let's say you're going to put your faith in that for the next few months, I'm going to be following this program of this workout. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to learn the basic. Like, let's say you're starting a program trying to build muscle. Instead of constantly trying to add like the best leg exercises and stuff, you're gonna just sit down for the next few months and you're just gonna learn the squat. You're gonna learn to do RDLs. You're gonna learn to do these few movements. You're gonna put faith that doing this is going to work. This is essential for actually sticking with something. Because if you actually put your faith in that this is going to work, I'm going to trust the words of people who know more than I do, then this is where you're going to actually like break the wall that is always present. Stop listening to these videos where it's like, oh, like top 10 ways to quickly lose weight, because frankly, they're not making these videos for you. They're making them for themselves. So obviously put in the faith of not only yourself, of the knowledge that you know, because if you're somebody watching this, like I said, you're probably somebody who has already seen a lot of videos, somebody who has already seen plenty of information about what to do, what not to do. You probably have a good understanding of the diet and the exercises that you have to do. Put in the faith of these of only a few people that you can honestly say inspire you, and make a program out of it and stay consistent with it. Stay patient. It's going to your progress, the results that you want, they're going to come. You just have to be faithful in what you're doing. So finally, last thing we have is consistency. Obviously, I think this has been overshadowed throughout this entire video, if not already, is consistency. This is numero uno. This is number one on any workout plan, on any diet that you're doing. Is and obviously consistency is always seen as like a go. Is it's always seen as like a daily thing. I like to think of it as going at it again and again on a regular basis. Is more so like the way I like to characterize it. Is this idea of you consistently staying with this. You consistently staying with this. Like let's say I don't know. You have a goal that every day you're going to do 100 push-ups. You're going to stick with it. There's going to be days that you don't do it. And just like discipline, it's going to be a muscle that's going to be built up. Eventually, there's going to be big gaps. Like if I still had my my habit tracker from the beginning of like 2022, you'll see that there's a lot of like missing a lot of gaps that's in between. Like there's like periods where like I didn't meditate for like 7 days, or I didn't work out for like a few days, and I just ate bad for a few days. So you're gonna see that consistency at first is gonna be terrible. Like truthfully, it's gonna be terrible because like I said, you're level zero. It's like a muscle. You need to slowly work it up. And so, first of all, with consistency, if you're somebody who is just now trying to work out, your biggest idea is trying to make a daily habit of it. So, what does this look like? Let's say you're trying to get into losing weight. Go on a walk every day. It can be a 15-minute walk. This is gonna sound like really dumb because you're like, okay, well, like this 15-minute walk is not going to help anything. But what it's going to do is you're going to build consistency of it. So you're going to be used to going on a walk every day. And it's not even the importance of you going on that walk, but the fact that you're doing it on a daily basis. You want to look at it how it is with like video games. Like I used to always go play video games like the same time every single day. You probably relate to this. You had like a lot of those bad habits that you have. You do them on the daily basis on the same day because you have triggers that tell you to do that. If you can build those same triggers, don't see those triggers as like a bad thing, as something you should get rid of. There's something that you should use to benefit you. So let's say it's walking. Let's say every time after school you make a habit to go on a walk. That's what I normally do. You go on the walk and you start to build slowly like turn your brain and starting to think like, okay, well at this time of the day, whenever I get home, I'm gonna go on a walk. This is something like this is a lot of high level stuff. And obviously always hear people talk about consistency. Consistency without consistency, you're not going to make any like noticeable changes because consistency goes beyond just doing the same habit every day. It's constantly change. Constantly going against the person that you used to be. Let's say it's like me. I used to be fat. For me to get out of my identity of being fat, I had to make a new identity as somebody who loves working out and who always works out and who looks like this. And constantly forming these habits makes you seriously like kind of believe yourself. You believe that, oh yeah, I am somebody who crushes out that work. I am somebody who follows like a really good diet. And slowly, like whenever you start to like actually make actually make this into a consistent habit through small steps, this is where like actually your progress is going to compound. Now, obviously, when it comes to being consistent, there's always like the problem of, oh well, I mean, how much what should I do every day? Like I said, if you're somebody starting off small, then you want to if you're somebody who's starting from zero, then you want to do it slowly over time. Start off it could be like a 15-minute walk every day. If that's something that you're not already doing, stay consistent with it. And then soon that walk will become a run. And soon that run will become sprints. And soon you're going to do you're going to be doing sprints every day, but then you're also going to be doing push-ups. And then the push-ups will turn into weightlifting. Do you see where this is going to go? If you start off consistently doing one thing and then slowly over time you're going to incorporate this and then that's where your progress is going to start to shine. That's when you're actually going to start seeing this like crazy like growth. I like to think of it not only as compounding but also just like steps. You do well with this, you go up a notch. You do well with this, you go up a notch. This consistency is really going to be your defining thing that's actually going to help you change your identity and become a different person. When I mean a different person, I don't mean you're going to go from being like you're going to go from being like a Jeffrey to a Giga to an Adonis, but more so like you're starting to believe in yourself that you can do these things, that you are this type of way. And this requires consistency. Whether you're a skinny guy who wants to build on muscle, or you're a fat guy like I was, and you want to get leaner, it's all a matter of your identity, your self identity. And the best way to actually build a stronger self identity, a different self identity that gets you out of that hole that you're in, is to simply start to be more consistent. So, final step right here. I'm gonna let you fill in the blank. This is your actionable step. I mentioned three different topics in this video. I've talked about faith, I've talked about discipline, and then I've talked about. I'm sorry, my throat's so dry. I talked about faith, discipline, and then I talked about consistency. Mm. So think to yourself, if you don't already have what you're looking for, the information that you need, then I have this channel for you. Think about it when it comes to your faith, that you're going to trust the information that I'm speaking about. Trust the information that these people you look up to speak about, and then put your time in for it. Stop switching around all over the place and just focus on actually like taking action. The whole point of an actionable step is to actually use what I've told you in this video. So put your faith. It could be me, it could be in other people. Listen to what they say. Seriously, make a set thing that you're going to do. And then this is where you're going to like actually see the progress, and tell yourself, I'm going to stay with this and I'm not going to constantly keep moving around. I'm going to generally stay and do the same workout. I'm going to be doing a push pull legs. I'm going to be doing like running, whatever it may be. Put your faith into it. For discipline, slowly, like let's say it's your diet. Say today I'm going to eat one less food, one less of this unhealthy food as I'm going to do. It could be eating, instead of eating chips, I'll eat chicken. You want to eat that chip. You want to eat the chips. Be honest with yourself. You want to, obviously, but you're actively telling yourself, no, I'm going to eat this instead. This is going to work the muscle of discipline. It's going to build calluses in your brain that you're not going to, that if you want the results, if you want like a certain type of results, you have to do things that you haven't done before. Because let's say you want to lose weight. Obviously, whatever you're doing now is not working. You need to fix it. So it requires discipline. It requires doing the things you don't want to do. It requires like actively pushing against doing the things that you want to do the things that you know you should do instead. So this could be like, instead of like sitting down playing video games, you decide to go on a walk or run or exercise instead. You do the hard things, especially when you don't feel like it, like Hamza says. And then your final step, which is consistency. Start to incorporate something. It could be small, depending on where you're at. If you're starting off with zero, go on a walk, do push-ups every day, go on a run, whatever it may be. Build a consistent habit of this, and then eventually you're going to start to form like a better a better concise way to actually, in general, just stick with something. You're going to actively build a new identity. If you're watching this video, you're somebody who has that passion inside of you. You don't need to look at these like all of these like influencers and like always confusing your brain instead of actually taking action. You know what you need to do. You just like one of these three things. I promise you, if you work on these, I promise you, if you work on the three of these things over the course of this year, not only will you see progress in your fitness and in and in your general health, but also just in your mentality. You'll be able to approach problems much quicker and much easier because you actually know how to approach them. So that's all I have for you, boys. But by the way, if you're somebody who wants like a more in-depth look and you want me to help you out with making consistent progress over the course of this year, then look in the top link. I have a sales call that we can talk about for one-on-one coaching, so I could actually help you out on your progress over this year for you boys. Mwah.